Inside Mercer Basketball with Coach Bob Hoffman and your host Rick Cameron. Brought to you by Wild Wing Cafe.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Wild Wing Cafe. We're here to talk Inside Mercer Basketball. Head Coach Bob Hoffman. We're about halfway through the season, Coach, but we've made our first road trip in the Southern Conference. Let's briefly recap going to Chattanooga, going to the Citadel this past week.
Yeah, we had two tough games on the road, and we've had multiple games on the road, but the first conference games on the road. Went to Chattanooga, and seems like every time we go to Chattanooga, it gets cold.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last year it was freezing, and this year we went and it was warm and it turned cold, but we started cold in that game, and then we found a way to get back in the game. Down to Justin Lewis went to the rim, had about a 3-footer, kind of rimmed in and out, and that would have been a big moment. But then Pryor hit a big three late in the shot clock with 1 second left that was guarded, where it was almost like an afterthought, where he just jumped up and hit it, and they got separation. We weren't able to get back in the game, but that was a great contest. They have a tremendous team, had a great crowd. We just weren't able to get the game, but our guys fought hard to get into the game after we had such a slow start. And then Saturday, Bachum's just an amazing coach. They shot 43 threes, only shot 22s in the whole game. Yeah. So that might be a record. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's no way anybody shot any more threes or percentage of threes than that all year. We were fortunate that they didn't hit as many as they took, or we've been in real trouble. But our guys were really just consistent about how we approached the game, and we just kept going, making play after play. Tremendous hustle in the rebounding and getting points in the paint, I think, ended up being the difference in that game.
Coach, let's briefly go back to Chattanooga just a moment. As I remember, the score maybe 29-7 early on. They really got off to the quick start. You had a couple of kids get in foul trouble, but still, your guys, as you said, never quit. And to be able to come all the way back and cut that to 2 points spoke highly of the resiliency of this team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Desmond Ringer got 2 fouls, which he's kind of been plagued with in recent games. He's gotten those 2 early fouls, and Phil Leonard also got 2. And maybe should have tried to play him a little bit, but I didn't. And
even Jelks got into foul trouble early.
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing. It seemed like they were the only guys that could get fouls, because the first 4 fouls, 2 were on Stephon and 2 were on Philip Leonard. Yeah. And then we could never recover from that standpoint in the first half. And then your rotations are messed up, and you're trying to figure out, you're trying to just survive. And we did, and our guys battled through and got down to, I believe it was at 10 at halftime. Yeah, and exactly. And then second half we made just a monumental effort to get in possession of the ball with a chance to go ahead, but we weren't able to do it.
Now, the flip side, obviously, you never want your starting point guard to be in foul trouble 65 seconds into the game. That was the downside. But on the positive side, Jordan Strawberry came in and gave you amazing minutes at that point.
Yeah, he's been playing really good. He had 24. Some of them he just had to make shots. We weren't getting really good looks. He found ways to get shots up, and he's continued to work on his game, and our assistants and everybody's spent a lot of time with him trying to get more specific on how he shoots the ball and how he takes care of the ball, and he's been just really good. And this week he was fantastic.
Coach, tell us about the transition when you play an athletic, physical team like Chattanooga, and then you have to make that switch turnaround to go play a Duggar Balcom team where you know they're going to shoot threes the minute they get off the bus and in the gym.
Well, they both are really athletic. Both teams are athletic. One's a little bigger. Justin Toyo leading the league in his block shots, but style of play is completely different. They're going to Citadel's trying to shoot it within 10 seconds every possession, and we were able to slow down the tempo a little bit, but they still scored 80 points even in the midst of that. We had to score points ourselves, and when you get those opportunities, when you're getting pressed and you're getting pushed, you got to find ways to get in the lane and get easy shots. And that's what we talked about over and over again. Don't settle for an easy, quick three. We need to get in the lane and take advantage of the numbers that we have when they're trying to trap us. And our guys did a pretty good job. I can only remember 1 or 2 times that I thought we probably shouldn't have shot the shots we took in the whole game, which is pretty amazing.
Coach, you improved your record to 12-4 with the wins. You're getting some recognition. 18th in collegeinsider.com, 14th in College Court Report, and also Stephon Jelks, the SoCon Player of the Month for the month of December.
Yeah, Stephon's been special. He was great Saturday. I think both of them were highs for him. He had 17 rebounds. His point total, he made shots. He's leading the league by 2 rebounds right now over the next person closest to him, and I believe he's in the top 30 in the country in rebounds himself. So we thought he'd be a really good rebounder, but he's probably even more special than we presumed, and we talked about him being a good rebounder when he came, and he is gone to another level this year for sure on how to get it done.
Amazing thing about that, Coach, he had that great game, but yet, as I remember, the first 4 shots were very close shots that rimmed out. And I think you mentioned to him, if you start making some shots, we might win this game.
Yeah, well, he was just throwing them up there. He didn't take time. He was just, as I like to call them, vomit shots. He was throwing them up before he could ever get gathered.
But he did lock you.
Yeah, he made quite a few after that, and but he's been tremendous. Had a great month, and that's an amazing thing that he was able to accomplish, getting the SoCon Player of the Month. What a great award, and he definitely deserved it.
All right, Coach, we're going to come back and talk about some rule changes this year, how the Mercer head coach feels that's going for college basketball nationwide. We'll be back to talk about that in just a moment with more Inside Mercer Basketball.
Over 3,000 new cars, over 1,500 used cars. Come experience the difference.
Back at Wild Wing Cafe, we're talking Mercer basketball with head coach Bob Hoffman. Well, Coach, we're about halfway through the season. There were several rule changes that were put into play at the start of this season, and as the commissioners shared with us before the season, the rule changes were to lead efforts to restore more offense and establish more of a free-flowing pace for the sport. Now, having said that, that was the committee hoped to do. Let's talk about some of the rules, and let's see if you feel they are doing that. First, let's talk about the 30-second clock.
It doesn't seem to me at this point the 30-second clock's really changed a whole lot, other than people maybe shooting the ball a little quicker because they have to, because the clock gets shorter. And then I think maybe more teams are pressing because of the clock, trying to shorten the possession and give teams less time to work within that 30-second clock to get a good shot. But other than that, I haven't really seen a whole lot of difference in my estimation of what's transpired with 30-second clock.
Now, Coach, you prepared your team for a lot of offensive sets. I don't know what the number of plays in your playbook. I couldn't count them. They're way over my head. But does it, maybe a team like yourself that does run so many sets, as opposed to a team that just loves to shoot threes, if you're going against a pressing defense, then all of a sudden you get across the timeline and there's 10 seconds. So you're saying you don't feel like it's made much of a change in the number of sets or plays you're able to run with the 5 less seconds?
Well, I think you can't move the ball from one side to the other quite as much, or move the defense if somebody's pressed you and you're in a short clock situation. And we have several quick hitters that we try to get to in those situations, which have been good for us, and we got to continue to do that moving forward, because we're going to play quite a few more pressing teams in the coming days.
In talking with other coaches, do you as coaches feel that, well, I won't talk about some of the other rules, but is there more scoring in college basketball thus far?
Well, it seems like it, definitely.
And are the games quicker?
I don't know if the games are quicker. I know there's a few less timeouts with the way they've gone to, if you call one close to the media timeout, it kind of gobbles it up, so you only have one instead of 2 back-to-back, which I'm sure the fans like a lot. But I think in general the games are about the same, and other than I think the scoring's definitely up.
Now, this was one, when I saw this one, that I immediately thought of you, that coaches can't call timeout during play.
Yeah, it's an awful rule.
I thought of you immediately. To my knowledge, Coach, this past weekend when you were just trying to make some substitutes in the last minute of a game, that really, has there been a time where you wanted to call a timeout, knew that you couldn't?
Well, I mean, you can actually call them on a made basket because in the rules that's a dead ball situation. The only time a coach can call it's a dead ball situation. So a lot of coaches are calling them on made baskets if they can get the referee's attention. But it has been difficult, and I think everybody's still learning, including the officials. When somebody asks for a timeout, their first instinct is to give it because it's so many years of doing that. It's hard to train yourself to do something different. But I really haven't seen a change on that, except maybe when you have a jump ball situation and guys are rolling on the floor, you can't call a timeout, and the only person that supposed to call a timeout is the person with the ball. So that makes it a little more difficult.
What about fouls, Coach? Obviously, even the commissioner warned us. He didn't use this terminology, but almost like it was going to be a bloodbath of number of fouls. With the arm check, you can't put two hands on the offensive player. In your mind, how has that rolled out? Has it been like you thought it would be, the number of fouls based on the new terminology?
Yeah, I think what's happened a little bit is offensive players now just throwing their bodies at people trying to get to the free throw line, which I think is bad for the game because that's really not what is intended to happen either. So now you have offensive player trying to create contact just so they can get the free throw line because they know what the rule is and they think they're going to gain an advantage. Maybe there needs to be a little more happy medium there in that regard to me. I think the other part is in the pressing situation so far it's been harder to call those fouls on a full court. At half court I think they're calling all that. Arm bars, hand checks. But when it gets to be a full court situation, it doesn't seem to be as many called. And that's hard to show or see. I'll watch some games and sometimes there'll be calls made in those situations and then sometimes not. I mean, a couple of games we played on the road early on in the season against pressing teams, it was very physical trying to get open just to get the ball in. And that should be the same rule as is in the front court. Should apply to the backcourt. But I think over and above, I mean, the referees are doing a really good job of, I just think it is more free-flowing definitely in the half court once you get down there. It's just knowing when and where foul is going to come.
Coach, there's one new rule that really hasn't come into play, but I'm going to predict that it will affect a major game. I don't know if it'll be in the SoCon, but the 10-second count rule, that if you call a timeout, now if you had 8 seconds off the clock, you still only have 2 seconds instead of not having to worry about it.
I agree with
that. That can affect in a ball game late in the game before the season's over.
In fact, I saw a game I was watching on TV, and they forgot about it, and the staff was yelling, and it should have been a 10-second call. And I think, it just as we've talked about, the coaches are learning, players are learning, referees are getting used to that. But I agree with you, that could happen definitely. And I haven't seen it happen yet, but that would not surprise me that it could transpire, especially late in a game when things are so tight. I believe you're right. I could see how that could come sooner than later, and hopefully it won't be against us in that situation.
So in the big scheme of things with the rule changes, there are many more than what we've discussed. Is it a better spectator sport than what it was last year?
Well, I always love freedom of movement because we're more of a finesse team for the most part, and we try to execute things, and people love to bump and grind and hit us and keep us from running our stuff. So it's harder for them to do that. So I'm a big proponent of let's clean it up and let's make it the way it used to be, a little more finesse than less power.
All right, well, it's time now to go to campus. Talk with one of our Mercer players. We're going to do that. We'll come back at Hawkins Arena in just a moment, then back at Wild Wing for more Inside Mercer Basketball.
So here's the game plan. Rush into the Wild Wing Cafe and tackle one of our new steakhouse burgers. 100% Angus, 100% great. It's an all-star lineup that can win you tickets to the biggest games of the year. Where?
We're back at Hawkins Arena getting to know our Mercer basketball players now. Our next stop is with Phillip Leonard, number 1, our senior guard from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Phillip, if you would, share with us your family that our Mercer fans can get to know who's closest to you.
My mom and my stepdad, they're really close to me. They had a lot of games, especially this year. They're trying to come there just about every game, but they're always supporting me if I have a good game or a bad game. they're always there for me. So
got it.
was
Out of
for me.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, I know Coach Hoffman has a lot of Oklahoma ties, but tell us, how did you end up at Mercer?
Actually, I went to junior college for 1 year, and my junior college coach knew Coach Hoffman, and he just came out and watched the practice, and just started recruiting me from there, and came out on the visit, and I liked it. So.
Philip, when you got here, there was a lot of talent here, especially at the guard position. Coach Hoffman often brags on how patient you were. When you come in, you never complained that you didn't get playing time that you probably wanted more of. Mm-hmm. How was it when you first came aboard and getting acclimated to the environment here at Mercer?
It took a while to get used to everybody, but I knew we had a really good team. We had a lot of seniors, and they had been here for a while, and they knew what they were doing. They knew the system and everything. So it was just good for me that year to just sit back and learn as much as I could to be ready to come in and play more the next few years.
Tell us, those of us that have watched you play game in and game out, we know how you love to attack the basket. You really penetrate inside. But in your mind, what do you bring to this team when you're on the floor?
Just try to get everybody involved, try to take care of the ball, make sure we're in whatever we need to be in, things like that. Keep pressure on the defense as well.
How would you describe the personality of Philip Leonard, not just on the floor, but when you're out on campus or among family and friends? How would you describe yourself?
Kind of laid back, just chill, relax. Just like to hang out, watch TV or something, not too much.
If you were to leave Mercer today, thankfully you've got several more games to go, but what would be your best memory of having been here?
Best memory, I think it would just be all the times I've been hanging out with my teammates, just in the room, we're playing video games or anything, or if we're eating as a team. Those memories are the best.
I've got one back to just a few weeks ago, the week of Thanksgiving, when we were in Nashville. There was a very special game. I mentioned it to Coach earlier in his first show, Appalachian State. There's no way, with a minute to go, we're down 3 points. Their best free throw shooters on the line. I'm thinking this one is just not going to happen. Right. You played the best last minute and a half of your life, I think, that day, especially that drive for the winning basket. Walk us through what that meant to you.
Yeah, well, I actually messed up and fouled the best free throw shooter. I was supposed to be denying him, and he got in front of me, and I fouled him, so I was a little upset. I thought he was going to make those, but he happened to miss them, and we didn't expect that to happen. So just Coach, he just kept telling me to push it. They're not going to foul you at the end of the game, so I just tried to keep pushing it. They weren't going to foul me, and I was going to have an easy lane to the rim.
What has it meant to you these years that you've been here? Coach Hoffman, you're in a great conference in the SoCon, but the big name teams that you've played, just like the Arkansas game this year, that win on the road, is that a great recruiting tool to come to Mercer knowing you won't just play great schools in the SoCon, but outside in the SEC and ACC as well?
I feel like it is. If you're looking at Mercer, you'll see that we go out and we play the best, and they'll see that we compete with the best as well, that we're in every game, that we can play with anybody.
What are you majoring in here at Philip at Mercer?
Sports business.
Sports business. Looking ahead, I know you still want to play a lot of basketball, but down the road, what would you hope to lock in and make a living at?
I'm not totally for sure right now, but hopefully a job maybe in the business side of sports, somewhere in there.
It takes a lot of time and effort to play D1 college basketball. You've really got to be committed to it. For our younger folks that may be watching the show today, what advice would you give to smaller guys that may be hoping one day, I want to play college basketball?
Yeah, like you said, it's going to take a lot of time and effort. Just keep working at your game, and make sure you take care of your body, getting proper rest, what you eat, and things like that.
All right, the league is pretty well balanced this year. So there's some great teams out there we know already. From the insider's perspective, as the starting point guard, give our Mercer fans an idea of what we can expect the last month and a half of this season.
It's going to be real competitively, as you said. There's a lot of good teams, but I feel like we're going to be right there at the end. It's going to be a good season.
All right, and then, of course, you and Jordan Strawberry seem to complement each other very well when one's in the game, and now with both of you in the game, boy, that really gives us some great ball handling when you and Jordan are both in the game.
Yeah, Jordan's real good. We switched it up this year. Last year I was kind of off the ball when we were in together, but this year I handled the ball, and he's off the ball, and he's able to spot up and knock down shots for us. So that's a little something different that we're doing, but it's working out really good.
All right, Philip, you've had a great career here at Mercer. Got a month and a half to finish strong. Thanks for all that you've done and the way you represent Mercer. We appreciate your efforts on and off the court.
Sir, thank you.
That's Philip Leonard, our point guard, visiting with us today. We'll be back in just a moment, back up at Wild Wing with Bob Hoffman with more Inside Mercer Basketball.
For over 20 years, Mercer has relied on Forsyth Street Orthopedics.
Their team of physicians keeps players on the court.
Forsyth Street Orthopedics and Ortho Georgia have merged together into one practice, and we're stronger than ever with 26 physicians and 5 regional offices. As a graduate of Mercer and a partner of Ortho Georgia, we are proud to sponsor and take care of Mercer athletes.
Ortho Georgia, getting better together.
Go Bears!
Well, we're back at Wild Wing now after the visit on campus. Philip Leonard, one of our 3 senior guards. Coach, you've got a great senior class that are really providing some excellent mentorship for the younger guys.
Yeah, Philip's class individual, amazing what he's been able to accomplish. He's the kind of guy you want to be in your program, and we're thrilled that he's doing what he's doing. I mean, he's second in the league in assist to turnover ratio. I think he's second in the league in assists per game. Almost had a triple-double on Saturday.
Yeah.
And he was an MVP earlier in the year in Nashville in our tournament. So just fun to watch, and I want him to be so successful because of his demeanor, and he takes nothing for granted, and he never is trying to show anybody up. He just plays the game as hard as he possibly can. He's going to compete every time.
All right, Coach, back home this week at Hawkins Arena, the friendly confines of Hawkins Arena, where we are leading the conference in attendance, nearly 3,000 fans a game. The last 7 conference games sellout at the Hawkins Arena.
Yeah, it's been great. Everybody that's part of the athletic staff that makes that happen, we're really thankful and grateful, and I know on our own staff, Jonathan Howard works really hard to try to make that transpire, and that's a lot of hard work.
Yep.
I mean, it's started a long time ago, and it's kind of come to fruition over many years of all the student athletes being out in the community, and the coaches and assistant coaches and the graduate assistants and everybody working hard to make a difference in the community. And now we've kind of got into a rhythm, and all those sellouts are big. It makes a big impact in the opportunity to win at home. When you have that energy in the building, you kind of feel a little tired. You can get picked up really fast and get it going again.
Don't you love looking down into that end zone where the Mercer Maniacs are?
Oh, that's fun, definitely. And they, you know, they came on the road to Kennesaw earlier in the year, and we had I think we had 50 students over Christmas show up in Atlanta and made a big time impact on that game.
All right, Coach, let's preview our opponents coming up. Furman, first of all, on Thursday. Boy, they've had 2 very impressive wins. They beat Chattanooga by 15, came back with another solid game last night against Sanford.
Well, they have as good a talent as anybody in the league. I mean, as witnessed last year in the run they made in the tournament, and they have the majority of those guys back, and they've kind of been up and down a little bit, but they've played a hard schedule, and they've been a lot of times on the road, and Stephen Kroon got hurt. He had a surgery on his thumb. So they had some bumps and bruises, and guys have missed some minutes along the way here early on. But I think now they're kind of getting into a groove. And against Chattanooga, they played fantastic, played really well together, took the ball at the basket at a high level. I know they're going to be trying to do that on Thursday night. It won't be anything easy, as neither game last year was in the regular season. So we'll have to go after them right from the beginning, and we got to have that packed out gym making an impact in that game.
And then not much of a turnaround, come right back on Saturday afternoon, a game where Miss America will sing the national anthem, and then against Wofford. Obviously, Wofford, year in and year out, seems to always be the team to beat, Coach.
Yeah, well, Mike Young is as good as you can get. He always puts guys in places to be successful, and he will again this year, and it has already started well. They've only lost 1 game in conference play. And I think when you look at him and you look at what he's accomplished at Wofford, that would be what everybody would want to do if they were in a league like he's been in. He's been there, I think, almost 10 years or longer, and most years they've been very competitive. In the last 2, they've won and gone to the tournament. So until somebody different makes it happen, you know, they're the class of the league no matter what happened in non-conference. They've got a great team, and we'll have to be ready to play on Saturday to get that one done.
All right, Coach, as we look back at the games of last week, time to announce our Sonic Player of the Week.
Yeah, our Sonic Player of the Week is Jordan Strawberry. I mean, he had a tremendous week, 24-19, off the bench, just hitting shot after shot, hitting threes. And I really didn't remember him taking maybe but 1 or 2 bad shots in either game. And that's what he's continued to get better at. He's finding open shots and taking them when they're available to him. And he's continued to pass the ball and not turn it over. His level from last year to this year in that area is tremendous, been tremendous.
And the number prior to the 2 games where he had the 20-plus points, his number of assists per minutes played may have led the world.
Yeah, he's really done a great job and all that. And beyond that, he's just matured and is growing into a really special leader on the floor and taking care of his business and everything he's doing.
Also, Coach, we want to announce our Marco's Delivery of the Week.
Well, we're going to give that to Philip Leonard. Had 9 assists on Saturday, almost had a triple-double, had 8 rebounds, 9 assists. When your point guard can do those type of things, rebound the ball like that and still deliver it and make some baskets at the same time, puts a lot of pressure on the other team, and we're going to give that to Philip Leonard this time. A little delivery.
There we go. Making occupational medicine look at the conference, Coach. Obviously still very early. Most of us have played 3 games, but ETSU, as of today, the only team that has not lost a conference game. They're 3-0. Chattanooga, Furman, and Wofford 3-1. Mercer and Western Carolina 2-1.
Yeah, well, I guarantee you. I mean, you look at that, and Steve Forbes is a really good coach. He's been around great coaches. He was assistant Texas A&M at Tennessee to Bruce Pearl, and then he was a junior college coach, and then he was at Wichita State as assistant.
Yeah.
And now he's got it going. He knows what he wants to do, and he's a special coach, and they got a lot of shooters, so they're going to be hard to guard for anybody going into Johnson City, but probably anywhere in the league.
Well, Coach, I'd love to say that Mercer's just going to run the table and one loss would win the league, but in reality,
let's do that. I vote yes on that.
But if that doesn't happen with the parity and all, what do you think the team that wins the regular season, possible losses, might do it?
I'd say 15-3, 14-4 usually is. You're usually in the hunt, normally in that realm, but you never know. It'll be a tough year. There's a lot of really good teams in our league, and every night you better bring it, or you're going to get it handed to you.
All right, Coach, that's going to wrap it up for this week. We've got Furman and Wofford, Miss America in town on Saturday. It's a great time to be a Mercer Bear. Coach, look forward to talking to you again next week.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, that's going to wrap it up this week for Inside Mercer Basketball.
They are going to try to go underneath. Jump, able to get it to go.